Jacob was the kind of man who always started strong, whether it was hitting the gym in January, reading every night, or waking up early to grind on his business ideas. He'd come out of the gate on fire, but 2 weeks later, he was back where he started. He hated the cycle: motivation, effort, burnout, quit, repeat. At work, his boss overlooked him for a promotion. Women didn't take him seriously because he couldn't stick to what he said he was going to do. One day, Jacob decided to stop making excuses. Instead of chasing motivation, he built habits, small, disciplined actions he repeated every single day. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Fast track 6 months, Jacob was in the best shape of his life, finally got that promotion, and carried himself with a new level of respect. His secret wasn't working harder, it was fixing the habits that were holding him back. Do you ever feel like you start things but can't stay consistent? You're not alone. Every man struggles with this at some point of his life. But the truth is, if you don't fix your habits, you'll stay stuck in the same cycle that Jacob was in, starting and stopping, but never actually moving forward. That's why, in this video, I'm going to break down the exact habits that destroy your consistency and how you can fix them. Stick with me to the end, because if you can master this, your progress in fitness, in business, and in life is going to completely take off. And listen, if you want to go beyond just watching videos and actually lock in these habits with personal guidance, join my private coaching program. I'll help you build the structure and discipline that you're missing. You'll find the first link in the description and the pinned comment below. Don't wait, because the longer you delay, the longer you're going to stay stuck. Point 1. Stop starting too big. One of the biggest reasons men fail to stay consistent is because they start too big. You get motivated and suddenly you're telling yourself you'll hit the gym 7 days a week, eat clean every meal, wake up at 5 a.m. and build a side business all at once. It feels exciting in the moment, but it's a trap. The truth is, when you overload your system, you're setting yourself up for burnout. Nobody can sustain 10 new massive commitments at once. That's why you fall off week after week. Consistency doesn't come from intensity. It comes from sustainability. Think of it this way. A guy who trains 3 days a week for a year is going to crush the guy who trains 7 days a week for 3 weeks. The long game wins every time. If you want to build consistency, start small enough that it feels almost too easy. Instead of trying to overhaul your diet in one day, start by replacing one bad meal. Instead of forcing yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. instantly, shave 20 minutes off of your wake up time and adjust gradually. Another thing to realize is that small wins create momentum. Every time you follow through on a small habit, your brain rewards you with proof that you can stick to something. That builds confidence, and that confidence pushes you to do more over time. The man who builds consistency with one push-up a day is far ahead of the man who keeps quitting a full workout routine. The key is to lower the barrier to entry so that you can't fail. And if you do fail, it's going to be significantly less times than you would over the course of several years. That's how momentum builds. Once your small habits are automatic, you can scale them up. But until then, trying to sprint out of the gate is why you keep tripping. It's about doing just enough that you keep showing up day after day and week after week. If you nail this mindset, you'll finally break the start and quit cycle and make that progress stick. Point 2, build systems, not willpower. Another mistake is relying on willpower or memory. Too many men think that they just need to try harder. But the willpower is like a battery. It drains fast once it's gone. You're back to your old habits. That's why you can start your morning strong but fall apart at night. The solution is to stop depending on willpower and start building systems. Systems are structures that make the right choice automatic. For example, if you want to stop eating junk food, don't keep it in your house. That way, even if you get cravings, the system forces you to stay on track because you'd have to leave the house just to break your plan. and you'd be surprised how little people do if it's inconvenient. If you want to hit the gym consistently, set out your clothes and your shoes the night before. Basically what your parents were teaching you to do when you were young. That way, the system removes the friction in the morning when you're tired. If you're trying to build a business, create a scheduled work block where your phone is in another room. That system protects your focus and makes the environment of work in your favor instead of against you. Think about this. Professional athletes don't rely on motivation. They have systems, coaches, training schedules, meal plans, accountability partners. They don't hope that they'll show up. The system makes it completely automatic. You need to take the same approach in your own life. The difference between men who stay consistent and those who don't is that consistent men design their environment to win. They don't rely on being motivated. They build conditions where success is the default, not the exception. Does this mean that you'll never fail? Of course not. But it's going to increase your chances just like anything else in life. Life is a probability. It's not a guarantee. Willpower is temporary. Systems are permanent. Once you lock them in, you'll find consistency becomes natural because you've made the right choice easier than the wrong one. That's how you stay steady even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. The truth is, if you don't design systems, life will design its own, and it won't be in your favor. Track your progress every day. One of the fastest ways to lose consistency is not knowing where you stand. If you aren't tracking your progress, you're guessing, and guessing never works. Men who stay consistent measure their actions because what gets tracked gets improved, or what gets tracked gets managed. Here's why this matters. When you track your progress, you create accountability. You can see black and white whether you did what you said you were going to do or not. That simple act of checking a box or marking a calendar keeps you honest, and it builds momentum because you don't want to break your streak. Jacob did this when he was rebuilding his life. He started every workout on a whiteboard. Seeing those check marks pile up gave him motivation to keep going. Skipping a day wasn't just skipping a workout, it was breaking a chain. That's how he built consistency, one day at a time. Another benefit of tracking is that it exposes patterns you'd normally miss. You might think you're eating healthy, but when you track your meals, you see how often junk food slips back in. You might think you're working on your business daily, but your tracker shows you're skipping half of the week. That reality check is powerful. It forces you to face the truth and correct it. This is where I'll challenge you. If you're serious about breaking out of inconsistency and building a disciplined life, then join my private coaching program. I'll not only hold you accountable, but I'll also help you design a tracking system that guarantees progress. You'll find the first link in the description or in the pinned comment below. Don't just watch, take action. If you want to build discipline, you can't trust your memory or motivation. You need proof of your progress. Tracking gives you that proof. And once you see wins stacking up, it becomes so much harder to quit. Point 4, eliminate hidden drains. Sometimes it's not the big things that break your consistency, it's the hidden drains. These are small, sneaky habits that steal your time and energy without you noticing. Scrolling endlessly on social media, staying up late watching random videos, hanging around friends who don't push you forward. Every time you indulge in one of these drains, you make it harder to stick to the habits that you want. That's because consistency requires fuel, mental, physical, and emotional. If your fuel is being siphoned off by distractions and weak routines, of course you're going to burn out. The first step is awareness. You can't fix drains you don't see. Take a week and track where your time really goes. You'll be shocked at how many hours vanish into distractions. Once you stop the leaks, you can patch them up. Cutting drains doesn't mean living a boring life. It means living intentionally. Instead of scrolling for an hour, use that time for rest that actually recharges you, like reading, stretching, or spending time with someone who motivates you. Instead of staying up late and binge watching shows, Set a hard cutoff time and protect your sleep. Small adjustments like these multiply quickly. The people you surround yourself with are drains or chargers. If you're constantly around guys who waste time, complain, and avoid responsibility, you're going to absorb those habits. On the other hand, spending time with disciplined men forces you to raise your standards. Consistency is not just about adding new habits, it's also about removing the ones that silently sabotage you. Once you clear the drains, you'll find it much easier to stay consistent because your fuel isn't leaked away every day. Protect your focus, protect your time, and your habits will finally stick because you stop letting hidden drains control you. Point 5. Tie your habits to your identity. Finally, the most powerful way to stay consistent is to stop seeing habits as tasks and start seeing them as a part of who you are. When you tie your habits to your identity, consistency becomes almost effortless. For example, instead of saying, I'm trying to work out, start saying, I'm the kind of man who trains no matter what. Instead of saying, I'm trying to save money, say, I'm a disciplined man who respects his finances. That identity makes your habits non negotiable because breaking them means breaking who you believe you are. This is what separates temporary effort from lifelong discipline. When you change your identity, you don't try to be consistent. You just live in alignment with who you already know yourself to be. Self image is what carries you forward even when the grind gets tough. Identity isn't built overnight, it's built brick by brick. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you cast a vote for that identity. Every time you skip, you cast a vote against it. Every time those votes add up, they determine who you believe you are. Think about a man who smokes versus a man who quits. The smoker says, I'm trying to quit. The man who's truly changed says, I don't smoke. Same habit, different identity. That's why one slips back while the other never does. Consistency isn't about checking boxes forever. It's about becoming the man who doesn't even question whether he'll do the work. Once your consistency becomes your identity, you'll never struggle. Consistency isn't about motivation, it's about habits. If you fix the 5 habits we've talked about today, starting small, building systems, tracking progress, eliminating drains, and tying actions to your identity, you'll finally break the cycle of starting and quitting. But here's the truth: watching this video won't change your life unless you act. And if you're ready to take action, I want you to join my private coaching program. I'll personally guide you through building these habits into your life until they become second nature. You'll find the first link in the description, and the pinned comment below will take you there. Don't let another year pass by stuck in the same cycle. This is your chance to step up, stay consistent, stay disciplined, and I'll see you in the next one.